Nigeria is your kaleidoscope of conservation?
Across the world, tourism has evolved to become one of the fastest growing industries, but Nigeria is yet to fully tap in the potentials.
And it would also interest you to know that 2017 tourism report from the World Economic Forum suggests that travel and tourism, that's TNT, contribute about 2% to Nigeria's GDP compared to Seychelles, Cape Verde and Mauritius. Demola.
As part of his dedication to unlocking the myriad of benefits that are inherent in tourism industry, President Bola Tinubu, on assumption of office in a visionary move, created a separate Ministry of Tourism with Lola Adejohn at the helm of affairs.
And the move was applauded, marking a pivotal moment in the nation's commitment to foster its tourism sector. And just like yesterday, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is 1 year. And in about 24 hours from now, of course. Now, the Ministry of Tourism seems to be making bold steps in elevating Nigeria as a must-visit destination, to contribute not only to its economic prosperity, but also to Nigeria's global image.
The Renew Hope agenda is a transforming policy thrust aimed at repositioning Nigeria as a prime global investment destination. And already, activities commemorating President Tinubu's first year in office has begun in earnest. And we commenced a series on this yesterday. So today, on Good Morning Nigeria, we shall focus on the Ministry of Tourism under the leadership of Lola Adejohn. I am Ademola Adeoye.
All right, I'm sure you'll be itching to know what the major achievements in that ministry have been, and of course the challenges, and how those challenges can be harnessed in the tourism sector to project Nigeria forward. That will also form part of our discussion today on Good Morning Nigeria. But we also have a second topic, which is the role of community health practitioners. On this note, I join my colleague Demola to welcome you on the program, and I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. Thank you for joining us. We're reaching you live from our studios here in Abuja, and it's happening right on the network service of the NTA. Soon enough, Chukwudi Okodugbaja will join us for the newspaper review. But for now, let's get highlights of the morning news with Frama Pine. Hello, Frama.
Hello, Claire. Good morning. Good morning, Ademola. Good morning, Nigerians. Here is the morning news. Empowering local governments to fulfill their mandate is the foundation for ensuring the safety, stability and well-being of Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu stated this in his message at a national discourse in Abuja on Nigeria's security challenges and good governance at the local government level.
Local governments are the frontline defenders against insecurity, as they are closest to the people and possess intimate knowledge of their communities' needs and challenges. We must prioritize effort at strengthening this important tier of government in our nation.
On the other hand, constitutional alteration can only be achieved through consensus building.
And the federal government has called for a global partnership to address the problem of internal displacement in Nigeria, pledging commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of displaced citizens. Vice President Kashim Shettima made the call at the launch of the state action plans on durable solutions to internal displacement.
Welcome the support of the United Nations in our interventions in this global reality. We are here to craft solutions that will outlive us, that will offer future generations a place of hope, a home for all, and a land of opportunity where dreams can be pursued without worry.
The Kogi State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has upheld the declaration and return of Usman Ahmad Ododo of the All Progressives Congress as the duly elected governor of Kogi State. The three-man panel dismissed the petition filed by Murtala Ajaka of the Social Democratic Party for lacking in merit. Delivering the judgment, Justice Ado Birinin Kudu, who led the panel, held that in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, the petitioner failed to prove that the alleged irregularities were substantial enough to affect the entire election.
Mistakenly, in almost a 4-hour judgment, went through all the issues and resolved them in favor of the second respondent. So naturally, we are grateful for the judgment.
We are waiting keenly to secure the certified copy of the judgment delivered to enable us to interrogate it further and know the way forward.
In another development, the Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has equally affirmed the re-election of Governor Doye Diri of Bayelsa State. The Chief Justices of member states of the Economic Community West African states are in Abuja to deliberate on ways of promoting access to justice in the sub-region. The judicial officers converged in Abuja under the umbrella of ECOWAS Judicial Council.
Let us reaffirm our commitment to the principles enshrined in the ECOWAS Treaty, including
Good Hope Initiative RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu CON, is of the administration of President Bola Tinubu GCFR and is organizing the Every Home a Garden competition. The competition is under the scope of agriculture of the Renewed Hope Initiative. For the competition, women are encouraged to immediately plant a garden at home, such that the harvest can provide adequate food on their table and enough to give their neighbor. This competition is open to only women. She must be a first-time farmer. The garden must be in her home, and it is open to women in every state of the Federation and the FCT. Interested participants should do a 30-second video and a picture of the garden which indicates its location to the office of the First Ladies of their various states. The winner of this competition will be announced in December 2024, and the winner of the competition goes home with 20 million naira. Women, join the train. Be part of the food revolution in Nigeria. What are you waiting for? Let's get to work. This message is by the Renewed Hope Initiative RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu CON.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please
Trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights. I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
Something new is about to hit your imagination of TV. A brand new sundial with StarTime's inbuilt technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTime's antenna and satellite signal. StarTime Sundial TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTime's highest bouquet for free, automatic system update. More benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Sundial TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next is Newspaper Review.
All right, welcome back to the program. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Time to welcome Chukwudi Okudugbaja for newspaper review.
Can't you see that I'm doing UTME exam?
Chukwudi, good morning
How
and welcome.
How are you doing? Good morning. Demola, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Wait a minute, did you take a short time out?
How?
Okay, I have
left Children's Day. Tinubu emphasizes family values of honesty, hard work, and others. It's on pages 4, 29 and 30. Nurture your curiosities, First Lady tells children. And Shatima wants global partnership to address IDP's challenges. It's on page 5. And of course, Kanu Court stops Bayero, others from parading themselves as emirs, orders police to evict Bayero from palace. Details of that on page 26. And just the last one from this paper, and that will take you to the top of the paper. And CBN, credit to economy up 2.3% to 92.8 trillion naira in April. Currency in circulation hits 3.92 trillion naira. And okay, and this is just a tip: eating more fruits, vegetables boost quality sleep, and that's according to a study.
Okay, I have the Blueprint newspaper, and the major headline on the newspaper, it's conditions of LG councils worrisome. Tinubu Abbas, the third tier of government in bondage. The sex should be scrapped. Fagbemi. Court restraints Adobayero for others as Kano emirs. Kano state government seeks Tinubu's intervention. And below we have the picture of the ministerial briefing, the performance of the ministers for the past 1 year. Federal government provides 750 million to tackle erosion and flooding. Details of that story can be found on page 18. 38-year-old man hacks father stepmother to death in Edo. Details on page 15. Agric added 309 billion naira to Nigeria's economy in 2023, Kiari. And the details of that story can be found on page 21. And just at the top, we have Tribunal upholds Diri Ododo's victory as Bayelsa governors and Kogi state governors. And Okoye delighted at another Super Eagles call-up. Chooks, it's over to you.
Yeah, let's quickly tell the Kano people to please handle it in a very calm and orderly way. I'm talking about the tussle over the emirship. As far as the state government is concerned, they have named their emir, and I want to think that it is the state government that has powers to administer the traditional councils and the states and all that. But that's not to say that if anyone feels that they have been wrongly treated in the entire affair, that they can speak up. No, not at all. The important thing is that Kano remains one of the centers of pride in terms of that stool in Africa. Just like Benin, just like Ibadan, you know. Like I'm not saying that any chieftaincy is inferior to any other, but these are really shining lights. Concerning.
And we must also commend the people for holding the peace up to this stage.
Oh, it's sure.
Yes, I mean that's remarkable.
Yes, knowing what Kano is, not just to the north, but the country. In terms of
So we really implore them to continue to keep the peace.
A funny one here: the chairman of the Conference of Speakers of Houses of Assembly, that's Adebo Ogundoye, I think, says states are kicking against local government autonomy on fears that the federal government may use the local governments, may incite the local governments against the states. I don't know what that kind of argument is. The important thing is this: the letters of federating units spell out how they should work. And the argument is that local governments should be autonomous to a certain extent rather. I don't, as a bystander and maybe a journalist, think that there should be a lot of confusion concerning interpretation of that. But then the matter has gone to the Supreme Court. The best thing is to wait for the Apex Court to adjudicate on the matter.
Yes, I wanted you to quickly speak to the issue, the lead story on the front page of the New Telegraph, and of course it was, all over the media last night when the Minister of Aviation spoke. Federal government suspends Air Nigeria indefinitely. It was Ethiopian Airlines trying to fly our flag, says Kiamo. And if you recall, Chukwudi, that this was this Air Nigeria was unveiled just at the
Just
at
a
the
few,
end,
towards
the end of the
administration.
You've got a spanking new aircraft,
in a
national colors.
in a hurry, and that's why we
I
must
call it
caution
the
again.
Haditsirika magic.
We must caution against government officials hurrying to impress their bosses and commissioning white elephant projects, and this is. But again, when this was happening, we had our lawmakers. They were all there. They were. I mean, why is it that it's just now that this is unfolding? That it is just Ethiopian Airlines flying our flag?
Claire, you asked a very important question. This attitude of blaming Mr. President, blaming the governor, blaming the local government chairman and all that, as if they can work on their own autonomously, is nauseating. It takes people in the civil service for a minister to be corrupt, to get certain things done. Somebody has to sign certain things before a minister can make money, illegitimately. So your question is very, very relevant. Where were these people when these things were happening?
Exactly.
In fact, we should introduce our law, in our laws, the principle of collective punishment.
Yes, because you have legislators oversighting the Ministry of Education, at both chambers.
But actually, maybe because it was done in a hurry, so they would not have enough time to go through the necessary procedures.
No.
It was
I'm not defending them, actually.
No, I'm just saying.
It was done in suspicious hurry.
Because the manner and the way it was carried out, it was
is it that it's because it's no longer there?
Fraud.
Is it that because it's no longer there?
It was all striking. We had a program on, was it a Bendel television in those days? We called it, It Couldn't Be Happening. Things that happen, koro, that should not happen. That's
anyway, the former minister is in court. He's been granted bail anyway, alongside his cousins and
it's
some members
okay.
of
Let
his
him
family.
have good opportunity to defend whatever accusations are against him.
Look at this other story. Fagbemi, why state electoral commission should be scrapped? Now, this is going to generate some very interesting conversation.
Whom are we imitating in this presidential system? The states in the United States, I want to use them as, the democracy we are really imitating. They have reasonable authority to administer some elections in their states. So why is the AGF talking? Is it a bandwagon thing he's asking for, or some strata, of elections? I can't quite, because I didn't read fully the piece
because if you're asking for autonomy for local government,
yes,
then this somehow is at variance.
Exactly. He would seem to be sounding, contradictory to to what is being pushed for concerning administrative and financial autonomy for the local governments. That's it.
I don't know if you have any other stories, but I think that's about the main stories here. But of course, we will keep our tabs on all these developments and follow them, religiously here.
That's why your news house.
Yeah.
No, I don't have much actually. I've gone through. I just am interested with these super egos that.
I know we're pressed for time. Otherwise, it's not as if there are no items to talk about here.
No, we could have used this opportunity to talk about Man U and Man City.
Man U and Man City.
No.
The sweet thing about it is that Chelsea got disappointed last.
How?
Demola, don't dare stand up there, because I'm ready to give somebody an uppercut. Don't you try it. They thought they had qualified for Europa. All of a sudden, they were descended, to what is it, conference? Let them go and keep having their talks.
But why is it
the Gunners will fly forever?
Why is Arsenal always coming second and never get? Yes, that he was in a hurry to have played for Nigeria at a time. If he had had patience, if he had been patient enough, he would have been playing for England. And I said that was a costly remark. To have,
okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. That
I don't quite get it, but
that.
Well, let's sign off now. Let's sign off now. I think it's time for us to take a break. We'll be back tomorrow.
We wish Finidi George luck against South Africa.
All right.
That's the most important one.
Thank you. We'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
Fellow Nigerians, it is a good thing to be Nigerian. Good news! The Office of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is organizing the National Fabric Competition, the hashtag One Nigeria Unity Fabric Competition. The aim is to create a fabric design that would be indigenous to Nigeria, showcasing our culture and unity. This competition is looking out for creativity, concept, and the message of unity. Open to Nigerian youths, both male and female, between the ages of 15 and 25 years. And guess what? You can apply wherever you are in the world as long as you are Nigerian. The winner of this competition goes home with a cash prize of 25 million naira. Are you sure I will not apply for this competition? Submission of entries close on Sunday, 30th of June 2024. Submit your entries by sending pictures of your designs via email to unityfabric.ofl24@statehouse.gov.ng, making sure you capture all parts of your designs. Together, let us unite Nigeria!
A man isn't ready to have a family if he doesn't have dash.
A wife.
A wife. Mark, you know witch, have you?
Very well, very well.
You sabi witches?
I know them.
You know them? Hey! You don't follow. I get love me, I know be witch. Jessie, how are you?
I'm fine.
How's it going?
I'm okay.
You seem very excited.
Oh, wow, I'm enjoying myself.
She might be a stripper, but she's also dash.
Innocent.
Decent.
Intelligent.
Trustworthy.
Mark, introduce yourself and the rest of the Wazobia family.
I'm a gospel minister.
Is there money there?
We are not there because of money.
Why do you come here to collect 5 million?
Because money also aids the gospel.
Wow!
Without money, your anointing can die.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation.
Oh My GoTV app with no stress. To vote via website or mobile site, simply visit africanmagic.tv/Nigerian Idol. Click on vote, register, and then enter your details and a password of your choice. It's easy and it's free. You can also get AWOOF votes for your favorite Nigerian Idol contestants. All you have to do is download the My DSTV or My GoTV app and you have more voting power at your fingertips. Visit the website for more information. Voting opens on Sundays after the live shows and closes every Thursday at 8 p.m. Remember, vote for your favorites each week and you get to decide this year's Nigerian Idol.
Nigerian Idol Season 9 is proudly sponsored by Techno, Stop at Nothing, and Biggie for every moment.
All right, welcome back to the program. If you just joined us, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it's happening live here on the network service of the NTA. And just a reminder, our conversation today is on the 1-year anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we're focusing on the tourism sector. So before we begin our conversation, let's quickly take a listen to Ibrahim Dan Amidu's background report.
Nigeria welcomed its first national tourists in 1472 when Portuguese merchants visited Lagos seeking trade opportunities. Historical records also show trans-Saharan and caravan movements. Since then, the tourism industry has experienced significant growth. Over 5.5 centuries later, Nigeria's tourism industry continues to attract investors worldwide. The federal government's tourism policy aims to boost foreign exchange earnings, promote balanced regional development, support rural entrepreneurship, create job opportunities, and facilitate cultural exchange and integration between rural and urban areas, thereby promoting economic growth and social cohesion. Since assuming office 1 year ago, President Tinubu has made notable strides in the Ministry of Tourism, with a vision to promote Nigeria as a premier tourist destination globally. In line with the government's renewed hope agenda, the Ministry of Tourism is poised to drive a paradigm shift in Nigeria tourism landscape and stimulate economic growth. To achieve this, infrastructure development in tourist hotspots across the country is of utmost importance, creating more jobs and spurring local economic development, helping position Nigeria as a competitive player in the global tourism market. However, Nigeria's tourism industry faces unique challenges, not due to a scarcity of attractive tourist destinations or rich cultural heritage, but rather because of obstacles such as underdeveloped infrastructure, insecurity, inadequate funding, corruption.
We have is the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Lola Adejon. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good.
Good morning.
Also in the studio is Lucky Honoriode George, Executive Director, African Travel Commission, ATC. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. Nice to have me.
All right.
1st of August, that was when we were inaugurated. And I think a week later, they assigned the ministries to us. So the Ministry of Tourism was brand new in that in the past, tourism was embedded in another ministry, and we've had some ministers that were very progressive in what was being done, and I think there was some form of advocacy for the tourism between 2005 and 2007 in the previous administration, but has not been updated. The United Nations World Tourism Organization had written to us and said that it needed to be updated, and so in the past few months they've been a review. They've reviewed the tourism policy. I think the first draft will be on my table today or tomorrow, and from there we will see the gaps in the policy and also come up with a committee to we will announce what the gaps are, and then we will put together a committee to make recommendations for the policy. Not only that, we used to have a Presidential Tourism Council. That is the highest body for tourism related matters. We've discussed it with Mr. President, and we're waiting for that council to be inaugurated. We've spent some time, not much, because we have to be in the office. We've gone to some of the tourist assets, and we are aware that our tourism assets are a bit moribund. I won't say a bit, I think I'm being generous with the term. They are moribund, and we've gone to a few, and I'm pleased to announce that some states in Nigeria are taking tourism seriously. The governor of some of the states, are making use of their assets, and they brought investors to build up their tourism assets. They've been, in the past year, there's been interest in ensuring that tourism takes place, to ensuring that doesn't matter what kind of establishment we have, but it's consistent in the country. Because right now, what we have is that a so-called 5-star hotel in the north is different from a 5-star hotel in the south and the east and the west, and so we want to ensure that their structure. Then we're also working with the states. We've had a meeting of the commissioners for tourism in the states. We had an annual general meeting. It's the first time it has happened in a long time, and the reception was very good. The reception and participation was very high. We had almost all the states represented, and we talked about their own plans, and I think we agreed that we will not look at all the tourism assets, but we are going to work with the 10 best in each state and spend time on that and help the states also to get investors to bring up those assets and so on and so forth. I mean, we've attended some meetings, we've gone to some stakeholder events in the private sector and so on and so forth. It's been very busy for us, especially since January, and we don't, I mean, everybody knows that with tourism you have to just pull up your socks. And
Indeed, and Honourable Minister, we do understand, of course, that you inherited what would probably call the brand new, ministry, having been, separated from the other ministry, and you do need a framework, a policy framework to give it direction. And that's why I'm wondering if you could just give us a hint on, the major review, work in this policy. I know you have not launched it. It's still work in progress. But can you just give us an insight into the major areas that needed to be reviewed?
Well, it's the whole document is large. It's a large document, and I looked at it in last year, September. I shook my head, and we agreed that we'll split it up into different sections and invite some stakeholders to look at the different sections of the policy. I didn't dwell too much time on the content because it was a lot, and we just felt that because it was established in 2005, we might as well do an overhaul review. So it's not that we're picking sections; it's the whole document,
the whole policy
yes,
framework.
Yes, and it is quite big, and it was done in the administration of General Obasanjo, and they did. It was a marvelous job at the time. But 2005 till today is quite a while, so there was no point in picking certain things. And then what we also agreed was that based on that and based on the meeting that we had with the commissioners, we're also going to establish and complete, or at least in the review of our master plan for Nigeria itself. So it's a journey, and we're hoping that by the end of this year, some of those things will start publishing and announcing.
Okay, Honourable Minister, while you were speaking, you talked about some of the gaps that were discovered, when you were going through the ministry, and you made some observations. Can you just give us a hint of some of these gaps, some of these challenges that you've discovered in the tourism sector?
In terms of gaps, it's not really in the documents itself, but it's in the general ecosystem. We have, we've divided our tourist visitors into two parts: the inbound tourists and also the local tourists itself. This year we decided to focus heavily on local tourists and develop the ecosystem and especially the communities to be ready to embrace tourism. We call that the doctrine according to tourism. That's my own terminology, whereby the community itself own the tourism ecosystem. They are responsible. Not I would say they're responsible, but it would be nice for them to be involved in the security, in the welcoming, in the cleanliness of the environment, and so on and so forth. And we've gone to a few states, and they've done very well in those few states. For inbound tourists, it's another kettle of fish, and there are more stakeholders that are involved in inbound tourism. We have also security, but on a wider level. We have the airports, aviation, we have roads, we have visas at the airport, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of cleanup to do, and we hope that the Presidential Tourism Council will bring out some of these things and ensure that things that we'd like to be done are done. And we're also working with stakeholders, especially in the private sector. Thing without them, they come up with the suggestions, and we're hoping that they'll be members of the Tourism Council. It's not I think Mr. President doesn't want to have big crowds, so we're working and seeing how we can manage the numbers, because everybody wants to have a say. And yeah, that's
all right, Honorable Mr. Before we expand the conversation, and I just would like you, for emphasis sake, and because we are looking at the different ministries in 1 year under the president here, can you enumerate by data or metrics of the increases that you have achieved so far, what you have been able to do within your sector? Can you just enumerate for us? You have told us about your working, of course, the 10 best tourism assets that you want to work with in each state.
So, in terms of metrics, we were given, every ministry was given KPIs, and it's a good job that we had the KPIs. Otherwise, we won't be focused on what we are doing. We tend to go on tangents, and we have all sorts of people coming to bring proposals and what have you. But in terms of the numbers, we are supposed to ensure that Nigeria is sold, in the most best positive light to the rest of the world. We are supposed to engage, and for that, I wouldn't say that we haven't done anything. The groundwork is, in progress, especially in 3 months. We are positioning our website, the internet, so that we have virtual tourism itself. And so that is also important, because we want to expand our tourists, especially in diaspora. We want to ensure that we are engaging our communities and getting the communities involved in the line to increase employment. When we go to the communities, when tourists go, we want to buy some basic things. We want to buy some gifts, some souvenirs, and things like that. So, in that part, I would say that we've done quite well. I would say that about 20% is not much, but in the very short time, I think we made significant inroads into that area, and it's being welcomed. In fact, we can't even cope, because most of the states are calling us in anticipation that they will also be welcoming Sorry, so those are some of the most important things we've done. As I said, we've established the committee to review the tourism policy. So that one is, I would say, 50% because they've done the review. Then we are now going to do the filling of the gaps and the new policy, which will be announced when the time comes. We are also working on the master plan. The master plan itself, we're about 20-25% done because we would like to finish the policy before we finish the master plan. So, and that is in the KPI. What else?
Okay. Well, okay, Honorable Minister. Okay, let's bring in.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Let's bring in George. Okay, now let's look at the tourism potentials in this country for so long has remained really untapped. Can you let us in some of the challenges do you think is bedeviling the industry?
Okay, thank you for having me. And the tourism industry in Nigeria is, over the years, underestimated as to what does it contribute to the GDP. Again, you have to look at the structure, the scope of the tourism industry. What are those subsectors? And the tourism industry, based on the United Nations Statistical Commission, how to calculate tourism contribution to an economy. It starts from transportation, it starts from the issue of job employment, then you look at the adverse effect, what does it do to the economy. But in Nigeria you have the hospitality, you have the aviation, you have the tourism grant handlers, which are the tour operators, the travel agents, and the memorabilia industry. These are the various subsectors that engage the community, where you find jobs and where revenue are also earned. When you sell a hotel room, the owner of the investment makes money, the government also makes money because every activities within a hotel, you charge VAT, of which the states and the federal government benefit from. But again, when you look at the way we calculate tourism earning in Nigeria, various subsectors of the economy, tourism will fall far, far below. But I can tell you, after agriculture, the next largest employer of labor is the travel and tourism industry. In Abuja, you have more hotel workers than the federal civil servant. You have more food and beverages related activities that are more than the entire banking sector. We contribute more money to the economy than all these big tech companies put together. Let me shock you. The travel and tourism industry in Nigeria is responsible for 45% purchase of agricultural produce. If you remove the hotels and the restaurants from purchasing agricultural produce, the entire economy of Nigeria will collapse. And that was what we witnessed during the COVID crisis. So, in Nigeria, for instance, we are a federal country. The state have their own ways of how they want to run things. You know, for instance, the Supreme Court judgment of 2013 that removed some of the functions of the federal government back to the state. So at the federal level, the job of the Honorable Minister now is just collaboration, coordinating, and marketing and promotion. So this is what people need to know. And I'm happy the Honorable Minister said that she has been meeting with the commissioners. This is the only way you can collaborate. But, okay.
Okay, let's bring Professor Wasiu Babalola to this conversation. The Honorable Minister said one of the KPIs is to sell Nigeria to the outside world. And I'm wondering, given all the dynamics playing out within the country, how sellable is Nigeria within the context of tourism?
Well, thank you so much. First and foremost, I think as an industry player, we need to appreciate Mr. President for listening to the yearnings. I know a lot of activism were done, and we thank him for giving us a tourism ministry. Now,
separate tourism.
No, separate. It's separate now.
Standalone.
Yes, standalone. Yes. And it's also good that he gave us a maverick into that ministry. Somebody who's independent. And if we look at, you need to sell. Intentionally, I decided to put on a traditional cap so that I can. The Yorubas will say, "Eniba madasho funi, tongue lakowu." Sorry, I am from Oyo State, so I have to say this so that they will
but
know.
You also need to translate.
Now it's well, in translation means it's more of you. If anybody promises you something, you need to look inward. Does he has what he wants to give to you?
Whosoever wants to clothe you, you have to see what he's wearing.
Well, I mean, anybody has money.
In other words, we have to look at what the minister is wearing.
No, not. It is more of when somebody promises you something, you have to look at what is the worth of that person. I can't promise you an helicopter when I'm driving a bicycle. That's what it means.
That's it, yeah.
Now, if you look at the trajectory of this Ministry of Tourism, I would like to say if we have to compare what we have now to what we had since 1999, as of today, well, tomorrow I may come in and say the minister is not doing well. It's within the purview of my freedom of expression. But as of today, I'll say she's 60% ahead of anybody who has been in charge of that ministry within the 1 year she has been. Not even less than a year, within like 6 months.
6 months.
Compare their 6 months to our 6 months, I'll give her 60% above whatever the highest person has scored. And it's so easy. 1999, I've been an investor before I moved into academics. The question is, how many ministers of tourism have I seen in industry events? I'm just seeing her so close today. And I said, Madam, thank you. I've seen you from afar. 3 private sector initiative, investments, career opportunity, other events, apart from state events. And there's something she did. In less than 5 months, she has been to Ekiti State Store. And she visited virtually everything Ekiti has to offer. Do you know the first plane crash site in Nigeria is in Ekiti? Nobody is saying it. It was, if not for her, I won't go.
Yes.
And now,
I think we had that on our news as well.
Yes, and after she left Ekiti, she went to Lagos to visit some of those things. It shows when the seller of a product is saying it is good and the person is eating it, I can tell you everybody will join. So we are already in the path. Now, before now, we have products that does not have a father. We're merged with culture, tourism, blah, blah, blah. Now we're on our own. But you see, creating us on our own, we need to be careful. There is now a challenge that has been created for us. Creative industry and arts. Those are tourism product, part of tourism product to sell. So the next challenge for those 2 units is to learn to collaborate. It's good we have 2. So we are going to be using 2 budgets to sell. The arts, those are the products we sell. Now, I'll just give you a good example. It will be absurd for somebody to want to come to Nigeria because of our hotels or because I want to see the slave trade. I would rather fly in a day, spend the night and disappear. But we need to have
Ondo to look at the Kogosi swing or even to Budukatu Ranch. And these are sites, historical sites that people are no longer talking about. I mean, it used to be, Obudu, for instance, used to be a beehive of art. People will go there. You go to Argungu, you talk about Argungu Fishing Festival, is still on. But what are we selling really?
It means that it's already usable. I went to Obudu. We didn't announce that in the media. And they are also working. I slept there. The plan is to bring it up. The president is very, very keen on that place being in full use as a retreat, and it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. And it's such a shame that it was left to decay, but there are already concessionaires working on that. I didn't want to announce it, but that's what is happening. is also coming up, and so many other tourism. Even in Lagos, in Badagry, the point of no return, the governor committed to ensuring that the point of no return is there's a building that is going to be brought up, because there, and then I think there's also a point of no return in Akwa Ibom. Exactly, Akwa Ibom. I have to go and see the place, and so on and so forth. And you know what has happened is that even though there are some controversies about the coastal road, it's opening up, or is going to make it easier for the tourism industry to actually spread out from Lagos to other parts of Nigeria up to Calabar. And for me, I am excited in that, you know, like for instance, I went to La Campagne Tropicana and the beach and all that. Do you know that it is 40 minutes on the beach from La Campagne to Inondo, and that is untapped beach. Then not to talk about untapped beach also in Akwa Ibom. So you know, there's just so many things that can happen, and we're hoping that, you know, we have these products to be able to sell. And part of what we're trying to do is working with the business community to ensure that we have investors that will not only put their money in, but also manage and, you know, take care of those assets, which would, and they will transcend administration. So it's no longer government things, you know, it is also privately driven, you know, private investor driven.
Okay. Yes, I know you want to add to.
Because the tourism industry is a very competitive one. From the African perspective, and what we have done, we're into research, marketing, and advocacy. Nigeria ranked number 9 in West Africa in terms of tourism industry activities. Nigeria is not a volume destination. It's not a leisure destination. Nigeria is a business destination. So we must separate all this. So you are
but that was also why, you know, the KPI was given to her.
Yeah, but
we have the potential. So make it, blow it up.
Now, what attracts leisure travelers? The volumes. You need to study and look at the facilities. What drives such market? We don't have that here, because volume of people go to a beach resort, places like the Gambia, Senegal, Seychelles, Mombasa in Kenya, when you have thousands upon thousands of people coming to the beach. They stay 1 week in the beach environment. They go out maybe once or twice to the hinterland to visit other attractions. We don't have that kind of industry. What we have is a mere business environment. Okay. So therefore, our inbound tourists will be very, very little.
How do we begin to turn that tide?
Yeah, just in line with this question, I want to understand what you mean by business. You know, we're just because I asked this because we have festivals also. I mentioned Argungu. Yeah. There's the Dambe, you know, festival. These are the Oshobo. These are things that are recurring.
Now, what drives the leisure industry? The big number is a major event that spread across days. I was the former director of media and tourism at Abuja Carnival Secretariat. So I can tell you, Abuja Carnival would have been the game changer.
And Calabar Carnival as well.
Yeah, but you see the problem with Calabar Carnival is the event happens in a very difficult period of the year.
Okay, December.
December, where most people would prefer to spend time with family.
Okay.
And other engagement. So therefore, Calabar Carnival over the years, I was there from day one, is being sustained by the local market, because the Nigerians do not have alternative place to visit. But what has happened over the years is also a major problem. I don't want to go into the historical perspective, but I can tell you, as a former consultant to Africa, we managed the first 2 major destinations in Cross River State. We were managing Obudu. We changed the name from Obudu Katuran to Obudu Resort. And we were also managing the Lakeside Resort in Tinapa. So all these activities were deliberate by the state to boost local influx rather than the international influx.
So what do we do now? Because he asked that question. We are mindful of the time.
Yes. So
I think one thing we need to do now is what we're doing now. We need to test. You don't go to the international market where you've not tasted the quality of what you have. And that's why we're having community engagement. And this is working. Idere Hill in Ibadan, Ibarapa local government, was rated among the top 10 most visited in Nigeria 2023. It wasn't in existence. Absolutely. Because the community were involved. Now, those sites will be sustainable. And that is what the international market wants to listen to. If I come in January, will it still be the same in? And I think we're getting it right. We don't have to be at a rush to go to the international market. To me, I don't think and I think I love the policy that the government are doing. Let's do community engagement. Let's standardize what we have. Each state give us 10 of your best tourism assets. Let's stabilize. The fact that we're over 60 years as a nation does not mean we will be right at every point. One thing of you getting it right to admit we're at fault. Let's start.
Before I stop, let me also let you know that Nigeria is one of the most expensive destinations in the world. The cost of coming to Nigeria alone on your air ticket can take anybody from Europe and America to Turkey, and you will stay 1 week, cover your hotel and accommodation. So one of the major catastrophes that has befell the tourism industry in Nigeria is lack of a national carrier, because a country is promoted as a brand. So Lagos State cannot sell itself alone. A Cross River cannot sell itself, and that is what is affecting those activities that have been ongoing for several years. Up to now, Calabar Carnival is not self-sustaining. They still need a lot of huge investment.
Yeah, so that's why we were asking now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're trying to manage our time, okay, because we have a second topic. So what he has said, the Honourable Minister is and the President, of course, on the right path to, making this tourism a sustainable result. Yes, activity.
First of all,
business center.
First of all,
what do we do?
What do we do? The Nigerian government, as a matter of yesterday, established a national carrier. If you want to run effective and successful tourism industry, Kenya is doing
national air carrier.
National air, not flag carrier, national carrier. Whereby if I buy the ticket of Nigeria Air or Nigeria Airways, whatever the name you will call it, if I'm going to return next week, the plane is on the tarmac. Not that the one that will take me through Egypt, through Addis Ababa, or through the Middle East before coming here. So I want to fly directly. That is one. Then two, the issue of funding for the tourism sector is not non-existent. In one of my teaching, in one of my interaction with the tourism agency many years ago, I suggested the Nigerian government will continue to labor to fund the tourism industry. So what do? More Nigerians are going abroad than they travel locally. The roads are bad, like the Honorable Minister acknowledged. Efforts are being made, but we need to patch up the road. Then again, the issue of funding is critical. So we must establish what we call tourism departure levy. This tourism departure levy, we will charge every Nigerian, because Nigeria will continue to be a tourist-generated country to like other parts of the world.
But if you do all this one and you don't have the products to sell, I don't know. I think we should have the products.
We need money to develop the program.
The way it works, you see, the way it works is like a system theory. Tourism will do well
if you have all this.
No, not if. If the other people, other parastatals are doing what they are supposed to do. So the person is supposed to do the road. You just do your road, don't worry. I will do my thing. And I love it. Just yesterday now, because in fact, I was meant to complain that, Madam, you are not doing enough. You are just in the dark. We are not seeing what you are doing. But yesterday, there is a policy. You can get a single-digit loan for media practitioners. That is where we need to catch him. So now we cannot have people like him. They can come and buy 2 hours to talk tourism and latch on this. So the government are doing theirs. As citizens, what are we doing? You see, that's where we need to focus. Now, if you go online, go to Twitter, what is good about Nigeria? Well, I think I'm leaving that generation, but they are still my generation. They start telling me the road is bad, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, excuse me, what is bad in the road? I'm doing a research presently.
But tourism transcends road now.
We
are deploying technology.
The point I'm going is that technology. Yes. Are we? You see, government is doing this, doing that. What are we doing as Nigerians? That is my point. We have a role to play. You see, I need to take my students to Cotonou, and I called an agent. I said, are there challenges if I need to? She said, no, those challenges, I can handle them. I'll do this, do this, do that. Ask a Nigerian. He will tell you, no, you have to fly there. It's no, he tells you all the bad side. Then the good one the guy wants to listen to is gone. So we need to have a proper reorientations as Nigerians.
So how do we begin to correct this narrative?
Okay.
How do we begin to correct this narrative?
And I'm pleased to announce that the efforts of the Ministry of Information through the National Orientation Agency, we are working with them to redesign or re-image our thinking. We denigrate ourselves, we denigrate our country, and we can't do that. I mean, we have problems, but we don't have more problems than other countries. You know, so why do we run our country down? And I think that is the worst thing that can ever happen. But we're working on that, and we're working through our community engagement for us to believe in Nigeria, because really we have everything it takes to make Nigeria, especially the tourism industry, one of the best. I've gone to so many countries, and I was working. It's not that I went on holiday, but honestly, what they have, they sell sand, and they will tell you it's sugar. What is tourism? It's all about telling stories. Yeah. You talked about the first plane crash in Africa. It should be a story. Even a Nigerian civil war, it should be a story that people come and see. I surprisingly, I went to the Yaradua Center in Abuja. I was astounded, you know, at the magnificent place and the amount of work. And these are things that we can be proud of. But what do? We run everything down. I think it's unfair, especially to the practitioners. You know, it's not just about the ministry, because we're nothing without the practitioners. We just rubbish all their work, and, you know, we put them aside. And there are so many, you know, so many very highly placed practitioners, and they work like him. They work outside of the country. Why? Because we don't appreciate them, we are not working with them, etc., etc. So there's just so much that we can do, and, you know, I don't know where to start.
Okay, Judge, Mr. Judge.
No, I want to challenge the Honorable Minister.
No, please don't challenge.
No, when I say I'm challenging, I want to say, Madam, take a road trip from Lagos to Lokoja, or from Abuja to Lokoja. So when you come back, you will be able to talk to your colleague, who is the Minister of Roads and Works. And please, Honorable Minister, I traveled from Lokoja here. It's a nightmare. It's not just because for foreigners alone. We need the road to be patched up for the convenience of our people. The accident on the road is not very good. I'm doing my thesis at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. My PhD in
I'm sure.
And I travel by road. Yes. So what we are saying, the roads are, because we, as the face of the Nigerian people, as a journalist myself, I want to be seen as fair as also speaking the minds of Nigeria. We appreciate the new project which will open up the coastal area, but the other roads within the country must also be patched up. They are in
let me bring infrastructure.
Yes,
infrastructure.
So when the Honorable Minister will be able to tell his colleague, please, Honorable Minister, if you've not heard from this area needs immediate attention. So that must be done. Okay. Because when you don't have road, the tourists cannot travel locally or even international.
In the past, even in the cities, everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knew. If you were a visitor to that place, somebody will walk up to you and say, how are you? You are new in this place. That is not so prevalent now. But in terms of security, as we're talking about security, when we go to communities, if you're a visitor to that community, you will stand out, and people will gang up and ensure that if you are not here for the right reasons, you'll be uncomfortable. And that is how we improve on our security. It sounds simplistic, but that's the truth. We need to work together. You know, we can't be turning our face away and minding our own business. No, it doesn't work like that anymore. It doesn't. And so that is what we're bringing to the fore with the security itself. And the truth is that if people are engaged and they have a reason to believe that if they keep their communities safe, there's employment, you know, indirect employment, you know, trading and all that, small trading, they have something worth fighting for. Right now, our hands are in the air. We don't have job. We don't have, but the work is actually in the community. It's not really in the cities. The white collar jobs are so they're unreliable. You can be chucked out any time. But in the community, the work can be there if, you know, we create an environment where people come to the communities, and that we're working on that.
Okay. Let me also ask, because some of these very captivating historical sites are within states, and they are within the jurisdiction of state government, and you know that tourism is really an area of priority, you know, for state executive governors. And I'm just wondering, how are you able to convince them, you know, to key into these?
Don't need to convince them; they already know. The time is now, and they are already engaged. We are being invited to almost every state. Do you know that Yobe, when they were talking about tourism, I said, what's in Yobe? They said they have desert safari. Desert safari. And they also have insurgents in the place, but they managed to attract those insurgents to be engaged in tourism activities. Why would I? In Dubai, you have a desert safari. You know, we talk about the Agungu Fishing Festival. We talk about the Mambila Plateau and all the and encourage every site. In fact, when we had the meeting with the tourists, the commissioners for tourism, when we asked who would like to host the next meeting, we had so many people, so many states offering that. You know, then we have Edo State who they have all the you know, cultural artifacts and so on and so forth. There's just you know, everybody knows now that the money is going to be made from tourism.
This seems to be a new reawakening, because it hasn't been like this.
It is, and I really thank the president for that, you know, because, you know, he had even said, you know, the truth is that yes, there's no money and everything, we are going to squeeze water from the stone, and everybody's putting on their thinking caps. So you are challenging everybody to bring out the best in everybody, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, challenging everybody to bring out the best in everybody. Prof, you were talking about employing technology now to promote tourism. How can we achieve that?
Thank you so much. I took my students on a road trip from Oyo about 2 weekends ago, and I told them we're going to take the old road, and I was telling them story along the line, where it's close to this, went to Oshun, we took Oshogbo, we stayed at Oshogbo a night, we went to Idonri. And when we got back, I said, guys, how much did you pay for this trip? The school, I told the school, you are not going to spend a dime. The students should come out. So we did a course before we went. We returned and they said, Oga, I think by during summer, I'm going to having some of my friends to visit, and I'm going to charge them at least so amount. I was like, wow, why will you charge? I need to make money. I didn't know I can make money this way. Now you can see it has to be participatory. And these guys uses technology more than we generations. And before we return back, I started seeing my face on TikTok, blah, blah, blah. This is my professor on top of Idori, that we conquered Idori. Just look at that word. We conquered Idori. Will you join me to conquer? You can see they are very creative and they have this energy. So I think that's what we need to do. And the ministry, and thank you for asking me that question, because I've been looking at an opportunity to. Now the ministry has 2 parastatals, NAHOTO and NTDA. It used to be NTDC. I have issues with NTDC. It's not for this forum. We're going to at least discuss that. But the question pertains to NAHOTO. Well, I've said it. I was in Abuja last year at a conference. Some of the directors are there. I told them, look, guys, what you are doing, you are not helping the ministry. The policy nowadays, government is not meant to compete with the private sector. You should give us policy. You should be the guidance. You should be the one ensuring that there is quality. Not when you are a player. You will not be able to control yourself. Now, NAHOTO has a law that allows it to regulate the soft skills, the little skills within the sector. Do you know, sometimes I'll be looking for waiters. I'll be seeing a BSc holder in chemistry, chemical engineering. And when these foreigners come, they say you don't have standards. I studied hotel and catering, and every week I will stand for nothing less than 8 hours times 4, 32 hours. So I've been trained to have the culture that I'm a waiter. So I can stand 12 hours. It's part of the job. Compared to somebody who studied accounting, he has been trained to sit, bring receipt. Now you're asking the person to come and be a waiter. That's conflict of the training you have acquired and with the job you're doing. Now, and that is where NAHOTO's coming. You have the law to say, look, regulate. These guys are there. And I expected NAHOTO's, instead of being a player in his own industry, offering certificate, diploma, all those postgraduate industry, to call all these training institutes together. You guys that are doing cooks, you know what, this is the standard of your training, according to ILO, because I'm a member of ILO. Now, once you finish that training for 3 months, I will send my evaluators to come and evaluate all your trainers. Then you don't have to give them your certificate, or you issue your certificate. I'll put my seal to make it a national certificate, and I'll put a number to that candidate. Then I'll start promoting to the employers. If you are looking for a waiter, look for this seal. That is the person we have trained. If you're looking for cooks, look at the cooks we have. I won't say they are second to none, but they are still second somewhere. But you'll be wondering how many are foreigners that are in. You see, this thing is not peculiar to us. If you are just looking for a tiler, you would tell me that you can't get a good tiler. But this is our own industry. So NAHOTO's will imagine if NAHOTO's is on that path. One, we're going to crash all those satellite campuses, sell it to price-based investors. We have money. Then they are going to go on standards.
Job is marketing and promotion. You must promote internally, and you must also promote externally. We will not wait for the rainy day before we start marketing. The issue is we market abroad, because when you go for international exhibition, most of the people that will come to your stands are Nigerians in diaspora.
You have less than 30 seconds.
So therefore, the Nigerian Tourism Development Authority, which is a marketing agency of the ministry, must be encouraged to do its job. As you're promoting internal travel, you must also promote external travel.
Okay. Honorable Minister, talk to us about making, visa policy in relation to tourism.
Yes, it came up at a recent meeting. I couldn't understand why visas to Nigeria at this time is expensive. Yes, we understand the reasons, but from a radical perspective, I think that we should go a different way, make it cheaper, allow the people to come in, and then maybe
cheaper for tourists.
Yes, for tourists to come in, and even for businesses. You have business people coming in. Why do we want to build deterrence? That's the way I see it. I may be simplistic in my thinking, but there's a time for everything, and the time is not now. to be charging humongous. And you know, people are very sensitive. They are quarreling about expensive airfares. Why do they want to spend so much money on visa? So we're working with the authorities on that, and that is why I didn't want to talk about inbound tourism, but we are working, and I am particularly sensitive about the visa policies.
Okay, lastly, in the next 1 year, what should we expect in the tourism sector? Just give us.
I think I need to put something down since it's within the next 1
In the next 1 year, by the grace of God, some of the things that we are planning now or we've started should have been completed. We want to ensure that we have our tourism satellite account up and running, and that requires that we have our database ready, a database of all the activities, the hotels, and to contribute to the Nigerian Bureau, National Bureau of Statistics. We will be feeding information to them, not us going to ask them for. So that will be up and running. We also want to ensure that our websites, the different websites that we have in Nigeria, not that they are consolidated, but it is through one link that you can access those websites, and that will help in our Gen Zs, the virtual reality, you know, tourism, digital tourism. We want to really push that. At least, you know, I'm just picking on a few things, but it's a lot more than that.
Okay. All right, Honorable Minister of Tourism, Mrs. Lola Adi-John, we'd like to thank you very much for coming to share your achievements with us within the past less than 1 year. And we thank you very much indeed. Let me also appreciate Lucky Honorade George, who's the Executive Director, African Travel Commission, ETC. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Professor Wasiu Babalola, Tourism and Hospitality Management. I really felt your optimism in this sector. And like you, we've also, Demola and I have also taken notes of what to expect in the next 1 year.
That's important.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. And of course, we conclude this segment of Good Morning Nigeria. But don't go away. We have a second part of our conversation coming up in a short moment.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthened in unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Meet lovebirds Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town, Mr. and Mrs. Jaye Davis!
But an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in. His mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
And from